I'm just planning another little adventure, not too far away, about 5.5, 6 hours. That's from Bushman's here. And it's west of Gladstone, it's east of Biloela. Now you might know the place, it's called Kroombit Tops. There's a lot of history up in that way, and there's a lot of four-wheel drive tracks, and I reckon we're going to be taking a few of those tracks to get to where we're going, and that's to a plane crash that happened quite a few years ago. Now one of the main tracks I wanted to do was Razorback track, but it's currently closed, so we're not going to be able to get on that one, but I'm sure we're going to get on some others and have a lot of fun. So come and join me on this journey, because I reckon we're going to have a ball. I'll see you on the tracks. G'day, my name's Jamie Hazelden, and I've been travelling this great country for many, many years. And what I want to share with you is the great places that I've been to and the places that you can only imagine of getting to. I want to show you and introduce to you some of the colourful characters, sit round a campfire and reminisce and talk about the journey and the places that we're going to go to. So come along with me as I share this journey with you. Well, we're on our way on our next journey, or our next bit of fun. And we've hit the first bit of dirt. So I'm on a dirt road, I've got cars coming both ways, and there's a lot of dust gets flicked up. So we just got to be mindful of it. So I'm running with my headlights on for this. I think it's pretty handy to do that sort of thing, especially in these outback roads. How good is that? We finally made it up to Kroombit Tops. Now, we've travelled quite a few hundred kilometres. It's taken a bit of time, but it's well worth it. You know, when you get into these places, you just got to look at the habitat, just the tree lines. They're just absolutely beautiful. And I'll tell you what, up here at the moment is green. It is gorgeous. But there's the sign where we want to go. But something I want to show you that was only founded around 40 years ago was a plane crash. You know, when you're talking about suspension, travel, height, whenever you're four-wheel driving, we're on the bomber track heading in to where the plane wreck is. And I've noticed that, you know, it's not a bad track. You know, as long as you've got a bit of clearance, you'll be fine on this track. But I mean, not telling anybody how to suck eggs, but if you drop just 10 pound out of your tyres, the suspension will work so much less, the tyres will bulge that much more, that the bumps won't be there, you know, as much. And of course, the lower you go, the better the ride. But I've got to say, this track is a pretty good track so far. We'll see what the track out, which is the Ridgeline track, loop track that takes us out of here. We'll see what that one's like. Something else that might be handy to prepare yourself for when you're out on tracks like this is having a compressor, whether it's portable or built in, so that you can lower your tyre pressure and pump it back up at the end of the tracks. Well, the track's changed the whole way through here, and that's the bomber track that we're still on. I've actually had to put it into four-wheel drive. I'm only in low range, but I'm crawling up some steep terrain. Nothing too spectacular, but it's just being aware and just being careful at the same time, because there's a lot of little potholes and stuff. But the rocky landscape up here is just unbelievable. I just can't wait to see the view when we get to the very top. So we're actually going down to where we've got to park for the bomber site, and the terrain is quite steep. Now, I'm sort of not trying to work any brakes. I've just put it in low range, first gear, and I'm just letting it idle down because the steepness, and I don't need to put the pressure and the heat into the brakes while I'm doing it. So it's just an actual idle down until I get onto some flat beds, and then I can change gears and go again. with doing that sort of thing, it's a lot easier on your braking of the vehicle, and at the same time it's the engine doing the compression that locks it so it slows it right down in the low range. It works a treat and it helps maintain the vehicle a lot better. Well, we've made it to the wall. Now, we don't have any history on the wall, but this was a place back in 2015 when I come up here last. I'm pretty sure we camped here. But what it says over there now is that you can walk to the bomber site, and it's 1.6 kilometers. We're gonna go and find that out, but first of all, most importantly, gonna have a cup of coffee and something to eat. It's lunchtime.
Always good to keep your strength up when you're going to go for a little hike. Take your water bottle and any snacks you might need or want. A 1.6 kilometre might not seem a lot of distance. When you're walking up and down terrain, it can take some time, and some people are slower than others.
You know what? I find this place absolutely incredible. You know, last time I come out here, we basically drove down to the bomber site. This is a 1.6 kilometre walk up to it, but they've actually spread it out so it's sort of layering its way up there, so it's not just a steep walk up to it. So it's interesting to see how it's going to turn out. But so far, the track is really, really good. They put little steps in here and there and a couple of little small gorges around the place. It's pretty awesome. You know, you look at this place and you can see how dense it is, and just to think how it was back then, like, I mean, we're talking nearly 40 years ago that it was found. What was it like before that, you know? And we've had fires through here and all sorts of things. But you're absolutely in the middle of nowhere, so no wonder it wasn't found for a long time. And they had many, many attempts at looking for this aeroplane. So it's pretty amazing, but look at the denseness. Well, we've made it up to beautiful Betsy, and well, what can I say? It is a somber sight. It's very quiet, tranquil. There's so much peace up here. And then in the background, you've got the remains of the bomber. But not only that, the bomber is spread right through this whole area. And when we start walking around, you'll see how far it does spread. You know, like, I'm just sitting here thinking about it, looking at a few signs and understanding what actually happened. But the impact of that is the tail of the bomber. So it's actually hit the wall or the top or whatever it's hit, and it's completely spun around because there's motors probably 300 or 400 meters over there, and there was 4 motors on it. So once you start seeing some of this stuff, it's really incredible. Look at the size of these motors. They're huge. And imagine there's 4 scattered right through this bush here, and they're at that size. And the other stuff that's scattered through here is incredible. But the one thing I was intrigued with was I thought this was a B-52 bomber, Liberator bomber, but it's actually a B-24 Liberator bomber. It was a plane that was used for combat and war in Timor, and then they retired it in basic sense because it got caught in a storm, and on its landing, it fractured some of the underbody or something on it, and then they took it out of its combat. So it was only in combat for about 8 months. Then they turned it into a training plane for parachuting and all sorts of stuff like that. And then after that, it was traveling around delivering fruit, vegetables, alcohol, all sorts of stuff around the countryside. And I'm guessing that's obviously what they were actually doing in the plane at the time. Let's go and have a look at some more. Well, check out the size of that ram. I reckon that was probably
where it dropped down for the wheels for landing and whatnot, but that's, you know, flung out of it as well. Wow, crazy. Well, I'm guessing this is a couple of radios. Like this has got band switch, beat frequency, crystal, out and in, antenna line, dial, wow. That's very interesting. They've put a plaque here for the 8 people that lost their lives. You know, like you look back at this, there's information about them. Now there were 6 Americans and 2 Englishmen. And the worst part about it was that the 2 Englishmen, one of them was getting married in 4 days' time. Now they've flown from Darwin heading to Brisbane because that's where he was going to meet the bride-to-be or the wife-to-be, and he never made it. And if you think about that, he's gone that distance, she's waiting for him, and he doesn't show, and then they don't ever find him, not for 40 years or so. Incredible, because it was only found in 1994, the plane wreck. And that was because of a glistening from just over there, northwest, after a burn. They could see the shine of something over here, and then that's when they discovered it. Then they brought the army in from America, and then they gridded the whole section to try and work out what happened and to find out who was here. And it was the only way that they could tell who the people were, because it's all bones, was tags, bracelets, and a few necessities that they found scattered around the place. And it's great that they've left this here to remember those people. Well, that's the last motor right there. Now, we look back at this area, and that would have covered at, I reckon, 200 to 300 metres of spread out carnage all the way through the bush. And this plane was 20 metres long, had a wingspan of 33.5 metres, so it was a big plane, that's for sure. And that number 4 motor, wow, what a distance. But we are going to have to head off. The sun's going down. We've still got another track to hit to get out of here. Well, we're on the track on the way out, and it is pretty gnarly. I just had a fella come up to me. Oh, hang on a bit. This might be a bit. Oh, yeah, got a little bit of wheel left there. Jeez, it's pretty. Yeah, sorry. We're yeah, it's pretty gnarly, and it's all low range, first gear. I'm just idling it up through. But I had a guy come up to me and he said, look, it's too rough up that way. I can't go that way. I said, oh. I said, well, look, I'll be coming shortly. Maybe we could help you out coming through there. Anyway, he's disappeared, so I don't know if he went back the other way or he's this way. So we'll just have to wait and see what it is.
The last thing you need is to get a flat tyre out here. You'd be waiting a while for roadside assistance to come along.
Gee, here's a gnarly little track, let me tell you. You never know what to expect. You know, what somebody thinks is easy could be somebody else's very hard. But I think I know why the fella got a bit scared. I mean, I love this stuff, so it doesn't worry me too much. Say though, this track wouldn't be for the faint-hearted, and if you're unsure of a track, it doesn't matter where it is, make sure you check with your national parks. just to see what grade that sort of track is for you if you're a beginner driver. Like, this is a lot of fun for a lot of guys and a lot of girls that love this sort of stuff. So good.
As I make my way up the Ridgeline track, I'm sitting in low range, first and second gear, crawling along, taking the stress out of the engine and the driveline. This also gives me the opportunity to pick the correct lines when driving the track.
Well, we've just got ourselves to the top of the Ridgeline track, and I tell you what a lot of fun we just had getting up there, low range, just taking our time, but just having a bit of fun. But then what a spectacular view up here, eh? This is absolutely awesome. What a great time of the day. So, you know, Kroombit Tops got a lot to offer, and this is just one part of it. We've got up a four-wheel drive track. We've come to a beautiful view. It's nearly the end of the day. Now we'll go back, set up camp, and have a good feed.
I'm just sitting back here reminiscing about today. It was quite interesting. As much as we went up to see beautiful Betsy, it was the track after beautiful Betsy that got me thinking quite a bit. This fella come to us and he said, "Oh, that track's really gnarly." We're on our way and we're thinking to ourselves, I wonder if the fella went this way or that way. And the track, well, it got pretty gnarly for a a national park track that not for the faint-hearted. Well, what more could I say? I mean, I couldn't see a grading on the track. So it comes back to having a think about how you can prepare yourself better for these little outback trips, because we're not too far away from anywhere. Anyway, we continue on our journey up the track, and I'm in low range, having a fat time really. I was really enjoying it. It was great fun. And then all of a sudden you've got this fella going. We pull up and we say, "You're a bit stuck there, mate." And he said, "Yeah." Now this wasn't the fella that I was talking about originally. The fella we believed went the other way. So this is another fella. Now he's all cocked up in a mud pit. And then he said, "Oh, the other guys have gone ahead to see if they can get phone reception." And I said, "Well, they won't get phone reception around here." I said to the guys, "You got some recovery gear?" They said, "No." And I'm like, okay, so I'll get my recovery gear out and recover you. Now, the important part I'm getting across here is if you go four-wheel drive and take some recovery gear. Now, in saying that, they're not to know that the track was going to be that hard, because on the map it just says it's four-wheel drive and you need something with a bit of clearance underneath it. So that's as much as it was. I said to the guy, I said, "Oh, well, look, we'll give you a bit of a pull out." Anyway, we'll look at the car and go, "You got no recovery points on your car?" "No." "Okay, you got no recovery gear, you got no recovery points." I said, "Well, you've been here a while." And he said, "Yeah, we've been here a couple of hours." And I said, "Right." So we hook up the snatch strap to them, and we made just a tree trunk protector as a bridle, because it had two toe points, as in not recovery points, but toe points. So he didn't need a snatch. I knew I could just pull him out really slow and easy. So that's what we did, was we just used the tree trunk protector, put a couple of shackles on it, and just slowly pulled him out. Yeah, of course he was thankful, this, that and the other, and here I am thinking that his mates are in another car, but they're not. They're on foot walking, trying to get phone reception in the middle of nowhere. But the great part was they stayed on the track, so that was good. I think the most important part of this is just knowing where you're going, or letting somebody know you're going there and when you're roughly going to be home. It's prepare yourself for whatever you're doing. Whether you're going on a little track just in the afternoon for a drive, take some recovery gear with you. Tell somebody that you're going there. These guys didn't have any water, they didn't have any food, they had mobile phones that don't work, and that's about all they had. And they had plenty of mud inside that car. But I just wanted to share that with you because that was a good story to reminisce around the campfire and sit back for.
You just can't beat waking up to the bird life here. I've been laying here listening to all the different birds and I couldn't count how many different sounds there are. So many different sounds, and getting out of the swag to smell the old campfire, well, I guess better get out. As the day's getting on, the first thing I've got to do as soon as I get up is stoke the fire, get the billy on the boil, and make myself a nice cup of coffee, sit back and enjoy. Well, it's time to start packing up camp and go and explore around some more.
I tell you what, I always find it quite funny when you go into or when you're at a campsite. Now, we're just leaving the camp and I just noticed all these leaves over here and I thought I've just got to go and check it out. But what I find funny is you can always find a vegetable at a campsite. It doesn't matter where it is, whether it's a tomato, a cucumber, a pumpkin, there's always something there where somebody's throwing their scraps and then it just grows on its own. But in the comments below, can you tell me one veggie that you found or one that's unusual that you found at one of your camps when you've been camping?
Well, it's a beautiful morning this morning. We've just left camp and we're going to explore or going to have a look at the Kroombit Tops lookout. So, can't say I've ever been there, but we'll go and see what it's got to offer. It's nice and fresh this morning. The road out here is pretty good too.
Well, just taking in some sun here. It's beautiful. And what a spectacular view. What more could I ask for? We've done plenty of history, plenty of wildlife, and had some great camping and some great little stories around the campfire. But to say, if you wanted to get away for a weekend, a long weekend, or come for a school holiday week, this is the place. It's so much to offer. You know, there's wildlife galore, and you can have an absolute ball, especially on the tracks. At the moment, one of the tracks is closed that we were hoping to do, but other than that, we've had a great time. Well, I hope you follow me on my next adventure when I head southwest. See you next time.